Hi, so this story also is 1,000 years old. As I mentioned, I think in a previous video, when I was a young lawyer, I wanted to practice criminal law. So I was doing this routine called duty counsel, where you would appear in provincial court, lesser criminal offenses, and speak to people and try to represent them, usually for adjournments or give them advice and try to get them out of there and get a real lawyer to defend them. So one day I was there, and there was a guy who was in the jail cell. I used to go down the jail cells and interview them before the case, and he was going through a sex change operation, and he had been injected with estrogen and had grown female breasts. And when you looked at him, he looked like a beautiful young woman. He had long blonde hair. And in any event, he was charged with breaking and entering, no violence, and the case was about to come up for a hearing as to whether he would have to be incarcerated pending the trial. He had no connections to Toronto. He just moved from Montreal. He had no family here, no friends, no job. It was not a good case for getting him released. So I went to court, and the judge's name was Tinker, who was a really tough old guy. He was actually not a lawyer. In those days, in that courtroom, you didn't have to be a lawyer to be a judge, ironically. Any event, I was trying to get him released pending the criminal trial, and it wasn't happening. And the judge ordered a surety be provided for $500. Now, a surety means you have to sign for it. You don't actually have to pay the money, but if the fellow doesn't show up in court, then you got to pay the money. In any event, this guy was absolutely hysterical. He was absolutely going bananas. He said, "You got to get me out of here. You have no idea what they do to me in that jail cell." I said, "Yeah, I think I got some idea," but he was hysterical. So there was a Salvation Army officer in court. I went to him to see if he could provide some kind of a surety to get him out, and he said no. And the guy knew nobody in town. So guess who signed for him? So I went up to the administrative office. I signed for the surety. I came back, and when I came back, it was pretty obvious what had happened. And the judge looked at me like I had horns growing out of my head. In any event, the fellow was released. I was never called on in the surety. But I was leaving court that day, and there was an older criminal lawyer at the back of the courtroom. And he pulled me aside and he said to me, "Son, I don't know what kind of law you're going to practice." I was then probably 6 months in practice. He said, "I don't know what kind of law you're going to practice, son, but let me tell you, it's not going to be criminal law. You cannot be doing stuff like this." In any event, I followed his advice.